Hi, it's been a while. It's been actually about a year, almost a year, since I uploaded a video to this channel, which feels simultaneously like it was forever ago and also like it was yesterday. A lot has changed in my life in the last almost year that I have been away from the internet, but I have really been missing this creative aspect of my life. I view creation as an outlet for me, and I have really been missing that outlet for the last, I would say almost a year, but there was a point of time where I wasn't really missing it that much. But in the last couple months, I've really been missing it. And I actually just told my husband a couple days ago that I've really been feeling the desire to make YouTube videos again. So here we are. I'm going to do a little life update, catch you up on what's been going on. And also I thought I would combine that with my 2025 goals. Not my last video, but the video before last, which obviously was probably a year ago at this point, was my 2024 goals video. And in that video, I talked about how I had just been accepted to graduate school, and I started that in January of 2024, and I very quickly underestimated how much time that was going to take up in my life. I really thought I was going to be able to balance reading and YouTube and then also work and school, and that just wasn't really the case. It wasn't that it was more work than I anticipated, but it required a little bit more focus and brain power than I anticipated, and so obviously that had to be the most important thing that I focused on because I was putting money towards that. So it needed to be my priority over this. And then in February, we adopted a new dog. We had been looking to get a second dog for a while, and the right circumstances ended up popping up on Facebook. I saw a guy in a Facebook group that I'm in trying to rehome his black lab puppy. And because we have a black cat and a black lab already, we knew that we wanted to get another black animal. The weekend of Valentine's Day, we brought home another puppy, and he is an absolute maniac. You will probably see him walking around in the background because he doesn't know how to sit still. His name is Atlas, and he is a lovable but very, very dumb dog. Our other dog is almost 7, and so we kind of had forgotten what that initial puppy stage was like, and it was kind of a nightmare, honestly. He's getting there. I mean, he still has a long way to go, but he is much better now than he was when we first got him, and we obviously love him. And then in March, I found out I was pregnant, and we had been trying to have a baby for about a year, and so it wasn't like we were at the point where we were giving up, obviously, but we were at the point where we were like, let's focus on some other things. Let's focus on some other parts of life. And that's the reason we got another dog. That's the reason I started grad school. And then, of course, when we take our minds off of all those things, it happened. I had a really not so great first trimester of pregnancy. I was very sick for 12 solid weeks, and I couldn't even think about reading a book, much less making a YouTube video. So by the time I was starting to feel better, I was already out of the habit. I was still, in the trenches of getting through graduate school and training a puppy, trying to get, things settled at home. So it just felt like a sign that I needed to take a step back and focus on other things. And so that's what I've been doing for the last year-ish, basically. Our baby was born in the middle of November. She is 7 weeks old, and I love her so much. I love being a mom, and I am really blessed to be on maternity leave right now. So it felt like the right time to sit down and make a little booktube comeback. Like I said, I've really been missing this outlet in my life, and with the probable impending ban of TikTok, it felt like YouTube was the right space for me to return to. So let's talk about my 2025 goals. I set myself 10 goals at the start of the year, and almost all of them are reading related. I have one non-reading related goal. I have some personal goals as well, but I obviously didn't write them down, and I'm not going to talk about them on the internet. When I was making these goals, I was trying to be realistic because obviously my life is so much different than it was a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago when I was at the height of making booktube videos. I'm obviously still in grad school, and now I'm a mom, and I will be going back to work at the end of February. And so I don't really know if I'm going to be able to meet these goals, but I figure putting them out there might help me strive for them a little bit harder. So my first goal is that I want to read 60 books, which is quite a bit less than I normally set my goal at. I almost always set it at 100. 60 books is a bit more realistic Last year I read 61, and that was a struggle to get to 61. But also I had like no new favorite books of all time. It was a struggle to come up with a small list of favorites that I could post like on Instagram. So along with my goal of reading 60 books, I'm also going to try to be a little bit more intentional about the books that I'm picking up. I really want to prioritize things that I really truly think I'm going to love. I don't want to just pick things up to meet a number. I want to pick things up that I think could become favorites. Let's hope that I have 60 really, really quality reads rather than, 100 mediocre reads. My second goal is that I want to read physically for at least 30 minutes every single day. I am very reliant on audiobooks, and that's probably not going to change, but I love to sit down and read a book physically, whether that's like first thing in the morning or at night before I go to bed. I just want to carve out at least 30 minutes a day to read a book. And if that means that it takes me an entire month to get through one book physically, that's okay, as long as I do it. My next goal is that I want to review every single book that I read on my Instagram. I'm really trying to up my Instagram game in 2025. With the probable demise of TikTok, I have been posting more on Instagram lately, and so I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep posting as much as possible on Instagram, and that means that I want to post a review of every single book that I read. My next goal is that I want to read my 2025 5-star predictions TBR. This is something that I set for myself every single year. I like to pick out 10 or 12 books off of my physical TBR that I truly think that I'm going to love, whether it be books that I've been putting off to read at like the perfect time, or books that I've acquired recently that I just haven't had a chance to get to yet. I really want to focus on these 12 books, and hopefully they will all be 5-star reads. I usually make a separate video to talk about my 5-star predictions TBR, but I'm not going to do that. So I figured I would just run through them really quickly in this video, and you can see which 12 books are on my 5-star predictions TBR for 2025. The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates, Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, Northwoods by Daniel Mason, Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr, White Ivy by Susie Yang, Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab, The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, A Promised Land by Barack Obama, The Wedding People by Allison Esbach, and Cast, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. I'm obviously going to be aiming to read more books off of my physical TBR, but these are the 12 books that I think are going to be 5 stars, and so these are the books that I want to prioritize and read as soon as possible. I feel like I have a really good mix of genres here. I have some historical fiction, I have some literary fiction, I have nonfiction, I have fantasy, I have sci-fi. I feel like I have a little bit of everything. So I feel like it's a pretty well-rounded and great TBR to get through this year. And along with that, in the same vein, I would like to get my physical TBR down to 50 books. I think it's about 98 right now, and I really just want to cut that in half. I want to get it down to 50 or below. This is something I've also been striving for the last few years, and I just can't manage to stop buying books. But now that I have a baby and my financial priorities are a little bit different, I feel like I will have a better chance of actually getting my TBR down this year. So that's another goal I'm striving for. Next, I want to read at least 1, if not 2 nonfiction books every single month. This is a repeat goal for me. I put this on my goals list every single year because I feel like I'm not making a habit of actually picking up nonfiction that I'm interested in. And so if I keep trying to, prioritize at least 1 nonfiction book every single month, then eventually it'll just become a habit and I won't have to worry about, putting that as a goal. I will just naturally do it. My next couple of goals are specific TBRs again. First, I would like to read the entirety of the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. I always try to read the short list if the majority of the books that are on the list are books that I'm interested in, but this year I just want to take it a step further and actually try to read the long list if I'm able. Obviously, sometimes there are books that get long listed or short listed even that are not out in the United States yet, so if I'm not able to access the book, then I'm not going to, stress about that. And also, if there are a bunch of books on the list that I'm just absolutely not interested in, then I might abandon this goal altogether. But when the long list comes out, which I think is at the beginning of March, I will have a better idea of if this is a goal that I'll be able to achieve. And I am excited to see if I can actually manage to read the entirety of the long list this year. And also, I would like to read the entire backlist for Elizabeth Strout. She is an author that I've had on my radar for a really long time. I know that she has books like Olive Kittredge and The Burgess Boys and a couple others that are so well loved. And I just haven't ever prioritized reading reading her books. So this year I am going to try to do that. I'm going to read all of her currently published novels. I'm going to go in publication order. She has 10 books out currently, so that gives me basically one a month with a little bit of a cushion, and we'll see how it goes. Full disclosure, I have already finished her debut novel. It was my first read of January. I didn't love it, but I have really high hopes for the rest of her books. So I'm off to a good start with this one. My final 2 goals aren't really reading specific. My 9th goal is that I would like to post on one of my social media platforms every single day. I really just want to be consistent about posting, whether that be on Instagram or BookTube or TikTok if it doesn't go away. I just really want to continue to be present and continue to create. We are currently 7 days into January and I have been successful so far, so we'll see if I can keep that up. And finally, this one is like not reading or book related at all, and that is that I want to watch at least 52 new to me movies this year. I love watching movies. I love watching movies almost as much as I love reading, and I really love watching new movies. I mean, I like to rewatch too, but I really want to try to watch 52 brand new to me movies throughout the year. This is basically one new movie every single week, which sounds easy in theory, but my husband doesn't really like to watch movies, and so I have to do it on my own. When he's home, we're spending time together during the day. I'm, taking care of the baby. So it's hard to squeeze in that movie time, but I'm going to prioritize that this year. So that's it. You're all caught up now. You know what's been going on in my life, where I've been while I've been away from BookTube, and you also know all my goals for 2025. I don't really know what this channel is going to look like going forward. Obviously, like I said, one of my goals is to post something every day on some kind of social media platform. I wish that that means that I could commit to posting on YouTube more frequently. I would like to say I'm going to post at least once a week, but I really don't want to make that promise when I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it. I'll just say that I'm going to post as often as I can. So we'll see what happens, whether I'm posting frequently or infrequently. I'm just happy to be back in this space and to have this as a creative outlet again. I hope you'll stick around. If you have stuck around this long, I really appreciate you. If you want to stick around for the future, then I would appreciate that as well. And we'll just see what happens. So I think that's going to do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments what some of your goals for 2025 are, or are you the type of person that just doesn't make goals and is just gonna see what the year brings? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will hopefully see you again very soon. Bye!